Hey, get that thing out of here! Come on, get it out! No! No! Oh, God, get away from me!
Sleepaway Camp wasn't just another horror flick, it was a dare. A cheap, chaotic production that somehow delivered one of the most disturbing endings in horror history. Summer camp looked safe, but every laugh, every prank, every swim was leading to something unspeakable. Behind the scenes, props disappeared. Lines were rewritten, and the final shot used a body double whose identity remains unknown to this day. These are 15 creepiest facts about Sleepaway Camp. And one deleted scene was so disturbing the footage was destroyed forever. Number 1, the final reveal was a masked body double, not the lead actress. That haunting ending, the one burned into horror history, didn't actually feature Felissa Rose. At the time, she was underage, so the filmmakers needed a workaround. They cast a local college student, made a full plaster mold of Felissa's face, and built a realistic mask. On filming night, the student stripped down, slipped on the mask, and stepped into the icy dark. Crew members said he was shaking from nerves and had a few drinks just to calm himself before cameras rolled. The result was that eerie, frozen look, a face that didn't quite move right, eyes too empty, mouth slightly off. And that imperfection is exactly what made the scene unforgettable. It looked real, but wrong, almost like something you were never meant to see. Number 2. The stand-in's identity remains a mystery. For 40 years, fans have tried to uncover who that body double really was. No credit, no contract, no trace. Some say he was a student from a nearby college. Others think he was a local bartender the crew recruited at the last minute. Even the director, Robert Hiltzik, keeps quiet about the name. Every convention, every interview, people ask, and still nothing. Whoever he was, that single moment turned him into one of horror's most mysterious faces. A stranger whose 5 seconds of screen time outscared an entire decade of slashers. Number 3. The alternate ending everyone swore existed but didn't. For decades, fans claimed there was a secret alternate ending to Sleepaway Camp. Some swore they saw a version where Angela stood holding a knife instead of that infamous pose. Others remembered a shot where she spoke one extra line before the freeze frame, but none of it ever existed. Cast members, the editor, and even director Robert Hiltzik confirmed there was only one ending, the one we know. Those false memories came from international edits, rumor chains, and how traumatic that final image felt. It burned itself into people's brains so strongly they remembered scenes that never happened. That's how powerful the ending really was. It rewired memories. Number 4. The twist sparked controversy that still lives on. When Sleepaway Camp hit theaters in 1983, audiences were divided. Some saw the twist as pure shock value, others viewed it as a tragic reveal about identity and trauma. Over time, critics began to reevaluate it, calling it both disturbing and oddly ahead of its era. It's one of those rare endings that refuses to sit quietly in history. Every decade, new conversations emerge online about what it means, how it should be interpreted, and whether it went too far. Few slashers ever get analyzed this deeply, and that more than the gore is why Sleepaway Camp refuses to die. Number 5. Judy was almost played by a future comedy star. Before 30 Rock, before Broadway, young Jane Krakowski auditioned for the role of Judy, the mean girl of Camp Arawak. She got the part until she read what happened to Judy near the end. The infamous curling iron scene was too much for her, so she backed out. Producers respected the choice, and the role went to Karen Fields, whose smirking delivery made Judy one of the genre's most memorable bullies. Imagine how different the movie would feel if Krakowski had stayed. Instead of a cult horror moment, it might have become one of the strangest before-they-were-famous credits in television history. Number 6. The severed head prop that vanished forever. One of the film's most realistic effects involved a full severed head replica of actor Christopher Collet. The special effects team built it using latex, human hair, and fake blood for close-up shots. But after filming wrapped, the head mysteriously disappeared. No one knows if it was stolen, misplaced, or kept as a souvenir. Some believe a crew member took it home as a twisted trophy, while others think it was lost during storage. It has never resurfaced, not at conventions, auctions, or anywhere. Horror fans still whisper that the missing prop might be sitting in someone's basement, preserved like a cursed relic from Camp Arawak. Number 7. The killer's hands were never Angela's. When you watch the murders closely, the killer's hands look oddly masculine. And that's because they were. Instead of Felissa Rose, the production used Jonathan Tiersten, who played Ricky as the hand double. In multiple scenes, he slipped on a wig and posed as the unseen killer. The reason was simple. The director wanted to trick the audience into believing Ricky might be behind the killings. It's a cheap but brilliant sleight of hand. Literally, that little visual misdirection kept fans guessing until the final seconds and helped preserve one of horror's most shocking twists. Number 8. Judy's infamous scene was supposed to go even further. Everyone remembers that moment with the curling iron, the scene that still sparks debates about what's implied versus what's shown. But the original cut went further. There was an aftermath shot that explicitly showed what had happened to Judy. The studio and censors immediately shut it down, saying it crossed a line. The footage was destroyed, and the final edit left only the shadow, the scream, and the reaction. Ironically, that made it even more disturbing. By leaving it to the imagination, the filmmakers created something that audiences still talk about 4 decades later. Sometimes what you don't see is far scarier than what you do. Number 9. Real teenagers, real taboos. Unlike most slashers from the early 80s, Sleepaway Camp didn't cast 20-year-olds pretending to be kids. Almost everyone in the movie was an actual teenager. That gave it a strange sense of realism, the awkwardness, the nervous laughs, the pranks that felt a little too authentic. But it also meant the film walked a razor's edge. Showing kids in violent or suggestive situations was almost unheard of back then. The producers took the risk anyway, believing that realism would make the horror more unsettling. They were right. The kills hit harder precisely because the characters felt young and believable. That taboo choice is part of why the movie still feels uncomfortable to this day. Number 10. The United Kingdom cut 57 seconds of gore. When the film hit home video in Britain during the 1980s, censors weren't having it. They demanded that Sleepaway Camp lose 57 seconds of footage, mostly close-ups of Meg's murder in the longer aftermaths of a few kills. Even reaction shots were trimmed to tone down the brutality. For decades, British fans only saw that censored version, never realizing what was missing. It wasn't until a 2004 re-release that the full, uncut print finally returned, shocking a new generation who thought they'd already seen everything. Number 11. The Red Cross forced a VHS recall. When the movie was reissued on VHS in a survival kit box set, the marketing team designed the cover to look like an emergency medical kit, complete with a bright Red Cross symbol. That decision backfired. The real Red Cross organization filed a complaint, since the emblem is legally protected under international law. The studio had to recall the entire batch and replace the artwork. Overnight, that recalled version became one of the most sought-after collector's items in horror VHS history. Fans joked that even the box for Sleepaway Camp couldn't escape controversy. Number 12. Ricky was supposed to die. Originally, Ricky, Angela's protective cousin, wasn't meant to survive. The script included a brutal version of his beating scene, where Mel's attack left him lifeless on the ground. But during editing, the director had second thoughts. They changed the framing, cut away early, and left Ricky's fate ambiguous. That single choice saved him and added mystery to the ending. Some fans still argue he might have been part of the killings, a theory the producers quietly encouraged to keep the speculation alive. In horror, survival often means sequel potential, and Sleepaway Camp played that card perfectly. Number 13. The director risked his career and college degree. Robert Hiltzik wasn't a veteran filmmaker when he made Sleepaway Camp. He was a student at film school. He paused his studies to shoot the entire movie with an ultra-low budget and a mostly teenage cast. Professors warned it could cost him his degree if the project failed, but Hiltzik went ahead anyway. When the film became a cult hit, he returned, finished his coursework, and officially graduated. Most students turn in essays. Hiltzik turned in a full-blown horror classic. That gamble launched his name into slasher history. Number 14. The beehive scene used real bees. Remember the scene where a character gets trapped in a bathroom stall and swarmed by bees? The production didn't use CGI or even fake insects. They hired a professional beekeeper, brought in actual hives, and filmed with live bees buzzing around the actor. The crew used smoke and protective gear, but the actor had to stay still while real bees crawled over his arms and face. The sting risk was real, and so was the panic. You can see the fear in his eyes because it wasn't acting. That's pure, old-school, practical horror filmmaking at its finest. Number 15. The paramedics were real. That quick shot of the cook being loaded into an ambulance, those weren't actors. They were real New York paramedics wearing their actual uniforms. The filmmakers couldn't afford extra costumes, so they asked local EMTs to help out. The realism you feel in that moment, the steady hands, the quiet panic, comes from professionals who really do that job. It's one of those tiny details that makes the film feel disturbingly authentic, grounding all the madness in something that looks and feels real. Looking back, Sleepaway Camp shouldn't have worked. It was made by a student director, shot on a shoestring budget, and filled with real kids instead of seasoned actors. Yet somehow it carved a place in horror history. Every mistake, every censorship cut, every strange creative decision, they all added up to something unforgettable. A plaster mask, a missing prop head, and a nameless body double turned a low-budget slasher into a pop culture legend. Fans still argue about its meaning, still debate its final image, still search for clues about who that mystery stand-in really was. That's the strange magic of Sleepaway Camp. The movie ends, but the unease never does. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed uncovering these hidden details, drop a comment with your favorite fact and tell me which horror classic you want to see next. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.